In the grand halls of their ancient castle, beneath ceilings that have whispered the secrets of time, the royal family seemed to stand as an unyielding fortress. But the truth was much more fragile. Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. The corridors echoed with a tale both epic and fraught, the tale of a family grappling with destinies and decisions that could change the course of their lineage forever. It wasn't just the weight of the crown that bore down on them, but also the flickering shadow of history, threatening to extinguish their legacy with each passing generation. Each coronation festivity, each public facade, carefully masked the undercurrents of turmoil, a delicate balance of power hanging precariously above them. Yet, within these gilded walls, power struggles simmered like a pot about to boil over. Behind closed doors, whispers turned into fervent debates as family ties were tested, and alliances formed and shattered in the blink of an eye. What seemed like unity on the surface was, in reality, a complex web of schemes and counter-schemes, as they navigated the stormy seas of both public expectation and private ambition. Through smiles and waves to adoring crowds, they concealed a labyrinth of secrets, where every decision bore the weight of the crown not just as an emblem of authority, but as a burden that could tip into tragedy. In moments of reflection, standing before portraits of ancestors who had faced the same trials, they grappled with their own paths, feeling both empowered and imprisoned by their roles. And as the sun set over the silhouette of the kingdom they ruled, the shadows lengthened, hinting at a nightfall that could bring not just darkness, but a new dawn. This was the reality behind the grandeur, a flickering crown, always in search of balance, in a world ready to shift beneath its weight. The stakes were high, the clock ticking, as they walked a tightrope between triumph and tribulation, knowing that the past was never dead. It was not even past. In the heart of the grand, ancient citadel, where history's whispers haunt the gilded halls and echo off stone walls, there lay an unsettling tension that no royal edict could silence. A palpable looming shadow hung delicately in the air, brushing against fine tapestries and lurking behind every ornate column. Through narrow windows, moonlight spilled with a spectral glow, illuminating faces strained by inherited burdens and hidden fears. This was a kingdom poised on the precipice of a revelation, a truth so explosive it threatened to tear the very fabric of its carefully woven tapestry. Amidst this cloak of unease, the young prince, with eyes that betrayed nothing yet absorbed everything, navigated the elaborate dance of courtly etiquette with a heavy heart. Each smile exchanged at grand banquets, every word spoken in hushed council meetings, seemed tinged with deceit. The opulent facade veiled ruthless conspiracies, weaving a web of secrets that tied together generations of power-hungry nobles. Beneath the polished marble floors where the prince treaded cautiously, aged corridors harbored more than distant echoes. They cradled tales of treachery, long buried yet reluctant to remain hidden. It was whispered in the chambers and corridors, an ancient promise once forged in trust, now metamorphosed into pure ambition, threatening to fracture the royal lineage itself. The dynastic line, once thought infallible, now stood vulnerable, not from external forces wielding swords or siege engines, but from within, like a serpent coiled in the dark corners of its own grave ambitions. Yet despite the looming chaos, an eerie calm pervaded. For years of decorum suited to maintaining regal appearances had trained the court well in the art of the masquerade. As alliances crumbled with a whisper of paper as much as a clamber of steel, the prince found his footing in an arena invisible to the untrained eye. The inner circle, once deemed a sanctuary of loyal counselors, had eroded into a tempestuous storm of rivalries, seeking the throne's golden shadow. In this moment of tension, where every step threatened to expose the underlying chasm, the prince realized that the throne itself had become the silent spectator to its own subversion. For the fateful night approached when truths must be revealed, and masks would slip away, bringing characters in this royal drama to a confrontation that could shatter all crowns. Shadows of betrayal crept closer, their tenacity growing with every false act and every whispered promise echoing through the halls. The kingdom stood on the brink, teetering between the dawn's harsh unveiling, or the comfort of ignorance's chilling embrace. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, the truth lay in wait, ready to pounce with the dawn's first light. leaving the fate of the monarchy dangling tenuously in the balance. For tomorrow, the tapestries would no longer bear witness to unchallenged rule, but would instead echo the definitive question left unasked, yet heard in the brittle silence of this waning night. Where does loyalty lie when betrayal holds the scepter? And so, anticipation mounted, driving the kingdom's guardian toward an inevitable showdown, where silence promised to explode into confession, thrusting open the doors of history once more. As dawn breaks through the centuries-old windows of the Grand Palace, the hedging monarch stands alone in the timeless room that has seen both prosperity and destitution. Cloaked in the tapestry of inherited legacy and looming threat, the monarch's eyes scan over maps scattered across a vast oak table, each line etched with the tension of borders and the whispered agony of decisions yet to be made. The kingdom's fate rests delicately in the hands of a ruler burdened with foresight and haunted by the specter of the past, those who came before, and who, in their hubris or hope, left a kingdom teetering on the edge. But as the kingdom edges closer to conflict, alliances murmur in secret corridors, treacheries whisper through the hallowed halls, and the monarch must choose between betrayal and allegiance. The weight of this choice thrums like a living thing in the heart of the palace, a pulse echoing between the stone walls, reverberating with the monarch's own uncertainty. In hushed tones, advisors counsel caution and alliance with neighboring kingdoms, a trade of loyalty for strength, each word weighed like gold, each suggestion unmoored by its potential cost. Yet through it all, the hedging monarch remains haunted not solely by the immediate ramifications of their choices, but by the broader shadow of what must be sacrificed to secure peace, what integrity may be lost in the fevered gambler's dance of power. Each day passes with mounting tension, inching closer toward an inevitable point of reckoning. The witches in the court, those wise weavers of fate and fortune, cast their runes, spiraling the fear of change amongst the enclave of trusted few. As if the fates themselves press close, eager onlookers to this unfolding drama, urging a decision that could either bind the kingdom in a tighter knot of alliances or unravel its fabric entirely. The seeds of doubt sowed in the monarch's own heart threaten to choke even the strongest resolve. And yet, somewhere deep within the monarch kindles a belief not in destiny's heavy hand, nor in the capricious twists of fortune, but in the enduring strength of a duty-bound heart. This belief, a flickering candle against the chilling wind of uncertainty, is fueled by a desperate hope that true leadership can somehow navigate even the murkiest waters. The decision looms larger as ominous clouds gather above the capital, their shadows a stark reminder of the tumultuous times. As the monarch prepares to act, a deep breath is drawn, a silent promise to lead not just with power, but with purpose, embracing both potential loss and unforeseen triumphs. The future remains unwritten, suspended in a pause of history and hope, waiting for the bold stroke that will forever etch the hedging monarch's legacy into the heart of the kingdom. But therein lies the most profound truth of all. Leadership is not an act of knowing, but of daring to step into the unknown, to wield both influence and humility amid a precarious dance where every step echoes for generations. As the first raindrop dares to fall, that breath is released, and the monarch steps forward, knowing both the burden and the beauty that lies in the impermanence of this moment. The peace of tomorrow lies in the choices of today, and with each move, the hedging monarch is both the player and the pawn, entrenched in a game as ancient as the throne itself. The kingdom stood at a delicate crossroads, a silent castle where history trembled on the edge of revelation. Within these grand, ancient walls, where whispers once clung to the echoes of nobility, an unforeseen storm brewed in the form of an unexpected air. The air was thick with expectation. Every creak of the wooden beams above seemed to signal the arrival of a new chapter. Amidst the chaos of loyalty questioned and allegiance challenged, a figure stepped forth from the shadows, a man forged not by courtly tradition, but by the raw, unyielding force of necessity. He was a man the kingdom had never anticipated, neither a prodigy nor a puppet, yet destiny had woven him into the intricate tapestry of their future. The corridors of power, once echoing with the haunting wails of the past, now awaited the decree of one who was raised under the modest shade of obscurity. The throne, austere and cold, stood unmoved, a symbol of power, now claiming an heir crowned not by birthright but by circumstance. The capitulation of control whispered through the halls in hushed speculative tones, as the court grappled with this unforeseen twist in their grand tale. The king, in all his unexpectedness, was not summoned by the traditional bloodlines that had long dictated rule, but by an evolution, an inevitable shift beyond the grasp of anyone's control. Kingdom eyes, weary from watching stagnant regimes parade unchallenged, now found renewed vitality. This unexpected king captivated hearts with his rugged authenticity, a defiance that thumbed its nose at convention and dared to ignite aspirations long dormant. Yet even as the crown settled upon his head with the solemn weight of centuries past, shadows loomed on the periphery, testing the resolve of a ruler unknotted from the customary codes of his predecessors. A quiet rebellion simmered, not merely of discontented nobles yearning for status quo, but from the depths of uncertainty itself, tugging at the fragile seams woven through a shaken monarchy. Thus, the air crackled with the friction of suspense. Would he rise to the occasion, tethering the kingdom's destiny to foundations forged through determination, or falter under the unseen forces lying in wait? Each day saw the fledgling monarch's hands steady and true, wielding power with a raw, unadulterated conviction. His tenure fueled tension, not of bloodshed and chaos, but of the challenging desires bubbling just beneath the veneer of a polished court. Old alliances quivered, as loyalties typically carved in stone by generations sought the pliable truth of new allegiances. The unexpected king, with a heart both heavy and alive, stared down opposition with an audacious gaze, aware that the crown itself was nothing more than a fleeting moment in a long line of regal legacies. But revolution brewed beyond palace walls, a whisper among peasants and townsmen alike. For in his reign, they clung to the notion of change, a fragile yet irrepressible hope, daring to challenge the gilded chains binding them. As ambitions soared and tensions swirled, the kingdom held its breath, balancing precariously on the knife's edge of potential futures, intertwined with both the known and the obscured. It was clear, their story was not bound by shadows of the past anymore. So began an era of revelatory decisions that thrust the kingdom towards an uncertain horizon, compelled by the relentless march of an unexpected king, journeying from shadows into light. As whispers of rebellion surfaced in hushed corridors and furtive glances, exchanged like contraband, the crown found itself trembling on the edge of history's dagger point. Uncertainty lingered like an unwelcome guest in the grand halls of power, where opulent chandeliers seemed to mock the fading light of a monarchy once unyielding. In that moment, the royal lineage, a line that for centuries had been seen as the immovable pillar of society, now threatened to buckle under the weight of time's cruel hand. Secrets lurked in the shadows, threatening to unravel the tightly woven tapestry of regal supremacy. Confidences long buried began to breathe again, their whispered tales of betrayal and ambition echoing like ghosts in the ancestral chambers. It was a time when loyalties promised to snap like aged ropes under too much tension, and trust was a brittle, delicate thing, easily shattered. The sovereign, however, stood proud, their visage a canvas of composed intensity, a smile painted amidst turmoil. But beneath those stately appearances beat a heart of wariness, acutely alert to the melodies of dissent that hummed through the court like an unwelcome tune. Within the whispers of discontent lay opportunities both fragile and formidable. Some saw in this pandemonium a chance to rise from the cinders of anonymity. Others eyed the throne like ravenous predators scenting blood. As the court simmered in its own brew of ambitions, some noble, some nefarious, the crown itself seemed to pulse with a life of its own, seeking out its destined path amid chaos. And then, there were those moments, those rare glimpses when time itself appeared to pause, holding its breath to see whether history would turn, forge a new chapter written in bold and unpredictable ink. Would tradition be the ballast against the storms of change? Or would the tides prove too mighty? For within every whispered revolt and unscrupulous alliance was the question of survival, not just of one, but of an entire realm's very soul. The crown, once believed to be a shield of absolutes, revealed its fragility, its wear, and with it, the stark and stirring realization that nothing, not even the mightiest of empires, stood safe from the ever-turning wheel of fate. In this crucible of transformation, leaders emerged and fell with the allure of power's dance. Each decision felt like a wager with destiny itself, teetering on a razor's edge between victory and ruin. And so, The story continued to unfold a saga of tradition versus transformation, though, where it led remained cloaked in the intrigue and shadow of what was yet to come. With a kingdom teetering on the edge of a knife, whispers echoed through the halls more than ever, veiled intentions and hidden letters danced in shadowy corners. The concept of power had always been a double-edged sword. Now it threatened to cleave the realm into rival factions. Loyalty was a currency measured against ambition, and trust was a pawn in the bitter game unfolding before the bewildered eyes of a people yearning for unity. Rumors swirled like storm clouds, pregnant with the promise of a deluge that would test the foundations of dynasties long revered. Blood ties, once a binding force, now threatened to become chains strangling the last remnants of familial love. In hushed conversations, the name of the elder prince fluttered defiantly, a banner for hope, but beneath, the firmament of unity was cracking. The queen, once a dazzling figure of unquestioned authority, now found herself under attack from unseen enemies within her own house. Her decisions second-guessed, she grappled with whispers of connivances, her former allies slipping into the comforting embrace of her opponents. In chambers thick with tension, where velvet curtains absorbed more secrets than sunlight, her son, the younger heir, sought destiny's favor, pushing at the edifice of tradition with dreams of reform. His ideals clashed with his brother's ironclad adherence to lineage's sacred duty. Each move within this royal chess game was rife with consequence, the cost of misstep echoing in the very hushed breath of courtiers, guessing at which side fortune might smile. Beneath the gilded surface, there were those who questioned the integrity of the bonds tying this beleaguered family to its throne. Alliances formed not on the longevity of honor, but on the promise of hilarity, created a fracture that threatened to swallow the past's bonds whole. In splendid halls where history was both echo and chains, a choice loomed, with both brothers teetering on a precipice that would decide the crown's future. Would the younger's progressive dreams forge a path, or would the elder's devotion to duty fortify the rule of tradition? Each held a piece of their father's reign, a dichotomy of power poised to either reconcile or rend them asunder. Suspense laced each greeting, every arch look serving as precursor to the questions seething in their hearts, who, in claiming victory, would save the kingdom from strife, and which of the brothers would carry the heavier mantle. A denouement lurked on the horizon, its shape both feared and inevitable. In the dim corridors of power, where whispered confessions are exchanged under the cloak of velvet shadows, the monarchy stood as an emblem of unity and strength. Yet beneath its grand tapestries lay a fragile foundation, vulnerable to the creeping vines of deceit. Trust, so fiercely woven into its fabric, began to unravel with a betrayal so profound, it threatened to eclipse the radiant legacy of the crown. It was not the strike from a known adversary that scorched their hearts, but rather the insidious dagger wielded by a trusted hand, one that had for years carried the seal of the kingdom's loyalty. Rumors, like wildfire, ignited within the gilded halls, leaving scorch marks on every interaction, burning hotter with each passing gaze and cautious conversation. The air was thick with suspicion, legacy monuments now nothing but silent witnesses to the unraveling trust among once steadfast allies. Secrets, once carefully guarded, became threads unwinding, revealing knots of conspiracy that tied the past directly to the hearts aching in the present. Bonds tethered by shared burdens through years of hardship began to fray, as the royal family found themselves ensnared in an intricate web spun not by enemies, but by those who once had shared their victories. The unraveling was not sudden, yet it felt as though the betrayal pierced without warning, an assault on the very trust that had fortified their rule. As dawns broke and dusk set, each new revelation in this unfolding drama added another layer of wounds, each cut deeper than the last. The revelation sent shockwaves through the court, friendships shattered like glass, and alliances once steadfast as stone crumbled. This storm lay bare the vulnerabilities carefully shielded from public view, and with each exposed secret, the chasm of mistrust widened. It was a bitter pill, the taste of betrayal lingering long on the tongues of those who had stood side by side, now questioning every oath taken, every gesture of faith once given freely. But as winter's cold grip tightened on the palace grounds, hearts frozen in shock began to thaw. The sharp edges of deception, once sharp enough to draw blood, began to dull with the realization that even the deepest shadows were not devoid of light. From the rubble of trust torn asunder, there emerged an opportunity, a rallying call for the true loyalists to cast aside old grievances, to forge ahead with a renewed vow of fortitude. They stepped cautiously into a new world order, where vigilance was both shield and sword. Yet as they tread the path forward, a new dawn seemed imminent, promising a landscape unmarred by betrayal's cruel touch, offering a future free from the haunting of the past's broken trusts. As they moved, silent under the weight of the memories and scars, they knew all too well that the lessons learned from these treacheries would become the very armor that would protect them in battles yet to come. Here, amidst the ruins of shattered trust, where once loyalty lay in tatters, a spark flickered hope, unknowingly nurtured by the trials of betrayal. And as the sun cast its first rays upon the kingdom, there was a glimmer of unyielding resilience painting the skies. A reminder that even from calamity, greatness could be reborn not just to survive, but to rise beyond the remnants of what once was. As lingering doubts hovered like ghosts in the morning light, their shades slowly diminished under the warmth of newfound resolve, leading to the promise of redemption on this uncharted horizon. Still, the questions lingered in every royal chamber, echoing in the void left by broken promises. What truths might the next dawn reveal in this game of shadows? Whispers of rejuvenation dance through the old corridors of royalty, where history's shadows corral with the fervor of the unknown. Each flickering torch along these hallowed halls seems to chant a tale of rebirth, a crown not just worn but rediscovered. Once burdened by the weight of bygone age, the fervent young monarch breathes new life into this age-old institution. A glint in an eye signifies more than diplomacy, it signifies transformation. It heralds an era where tradition and innovation duel for prominence, casting a tense shadow over the otherwise glittering throne room. Would this rejuvenation navigate the turbulence of progress, or would it succumb to the silent echoes of the past? With each decreed change, the kingdom feels an undercurrent of introspection, a slow reweaving of its intricate fabric. The crown, once a static relic, is now an emblem of hope and renewal, guiding its proprietor through mazes of ancestral duty and pressing future endeavors. The corridors murmur with intrigue, the subjects stir with anticipation, as alliances are forged anew, testing the mettle of this nascent vision. Yet danger lurks within the heart of change, a reminder that power, even when renewed, is finite and fraught with peril. What is reformed can just as easily unravel, and the question persists, can the kingdom withstand the tremors of transformation without shattering? As the echoes build into a crescendo of expectation, the monarch stands on the precipice of destiny, an emblem of change bound by the chains of legacy. And so the tale of a renewed crown unfurls a testament not only to the perseverance of its bearer, but to the timeless dance of continuity and dissonance. The story teeters on the brink of revelation, leaving us poised, yearning for what comes next, a narrative set firmly in motion, hurtling ever forward into the mystique of the unknown path.